And now we're gonna do something everybody like to do. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yo, this is Charlie Taller from Jurassic 5.
This is Mark Rae.
This is Craig Charles. And you are now tuned into Joints and Jams
With Shaka Loves You.
with Shaka Loves You.
With Shaka Loves You on SLY Radio. Listen on the slide.
You gotta have tiny legs.
Nah, longer fingers, I think. Yeah.
I can ruin any party, mate.
Just say no.
And good luck on y'all show, man, for real.
So we're joined by the legendary Nextmen, Dom and Brad. How we doing?
How you doing, guys?
Jazzy Jeff certified legendary now.
Yep, that's how we must be referred to, as the legend. Now on.
Yeah, totally. All market material. So speaking of Jazzy Jeff and Stream Raiders, you're fresh off of Stream Raiders from last night.
Mm-hmm.
How was it? What number are we on now? 4, 5?
Yeah, I think that was the 4th.
It was 5th, wasn't it? Well, Adam said it was number 5. I'm not sure.
That's number 5 then, yeah. Well, they go by so quickly.
Scratch Bastard. Who would have guessed? Scratch Bastard, Z-Trip,
Jeff,
Newmark,
Oh
Shaka.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
pretty.
so good. I mean, it's a very interesting format. Obviously, it's new. 15 minutes each with 2 rounds is an interesting way to do it. And for the viewers, if they manage to keep up with it, if they jump on the train at the beginning and manage to stay with it, which is most of them, then I'm sure it's a lot of fun for them. And we've got smoother at the transitions and stuff like that, because you can imagine behind the scenes there's an awful lot of phone calls and texting.
Yeah, everyone's on WhatsApp, like, you ready?
Yeah, we set up a WhatsApp group on the day earlier on and make sure everyone's okay, and then we paste in the correct raid commands into the WhatsApp.
Right, so you can't get it wrong then.
Right.
So that people have to copy and paste it and can't get it wrong.
Right. But yeah, that's it's been. I think like A Skills has been the first one to kind of like sort of brand it up like that, you know, like doing the raids, and it's been
totally.
For the viewers, it's been pretty cool, I think. And
and of course, it's interesting that it's, you know, yet another Twitch feature, gamer feature that turns out to be perfect for DJs.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, it's really good. That platform for what we do, all of us, is a lot better than the others because of the community features and things like raiding, because it's a bit like being at a festival and seeing a lineup on a stage, and you don't have to go anywhere, or you can all go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It is. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing that Twitch is just kind of, it was there all along and DJs weren't utilizing it, and now it's just become like our lifeline to.
Yeah. We were chatting with Z-Trip a couple of shows ago about this, and he was basically saying, you know, the gamers are probably all hating us because we've just come in and like ruined their platform, and now like there's copyright and everything involved.
Yeah. I'm sure they've got something to say about that. And also there'll be some DJs on there that have been doing it ages, and they're probably thinking, hang on.
Yeah, totally.
You know, you've all just completely taken over, and we were here doing it for years, you know.
So yeah, maybe we want to talk a bit more about live streaming in a sec, but just how's lockdown been for you guys in general? Obviously, we're kind of a bit more out of lockdown now, but what's your thoughts on everything? And
go on, Brad.
Well, I'm really bored of it.
Yeah.
I guess we're kind of out of it. My wife's been shielding.
Sorry, Brad, I'm getting quite a lot of like wind noise. Is anyone else getting that?
Is it the fan?
That's my fan. Let me turn it off. Turn it off.
Now the computer's going to break.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's countdown to computer seizing.
Oh yeah, that's way better.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
No, it's all cool. It's all cool.
So my wife's been shielding because she's got quite severe asthma. So until recently, she hadn't left the house for more than 100 days.
Wow.
Wow.
And we've got 3 kids, and that part of it's been difficult. Sort of homeschooling, and then slowly each one of my children going back to school for a little while before the summer holidays. I've got 2 kids that are moving schools. My eldest, who's 14, is going to Brit School in September, which is like a performing arts school in South London, and he's moving from his school in North London. So I've had all that kind of to negotiate and sort out. And that's been really boring. And in terms of like not DJing,
yeah,
it's just been really weird.
Yeah.
Because
Is there anything? Sorry, on you go.
Well, no, me and Dom have been doing it for more than 20 years together. So every weekend, obviously, we'll be out somewhere doing something.
Yeah.
And just for that to just stop is very strange.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you've kind of like picked up that you kind of always wanted to do over lockdown that you were just never had the time to do before lockdown?
No, I mean, I haven't had time, mate. I've got 3 children.
Yeah, totally. That's a fair point.
I guess we've learned how to use OBS.
Yeah.
and set up lights in our studio and do green screening and all this kind of stuff. It's skills that you never thought you'd get, you'd achieve. But what about you, Dom? Anything? Learn anything new?
No, I think there've been. I mean, I've got 2 children, 2 young daughters, and because I worked from home a lot anyway, some things didn't actually change much. Like I was with kids a lot. And then regarding homeschooling, I tried it I think we tried about a week, and it just turned into this disaster every morning with the girls just sort of, at first they thought it was funny setting up the front room like a school. And then the novelty wore off, and because they don't have the same respect for their mother and father that they do
for the teachers,
totally. It very, very rapidly descended into, "Oh, shut up, Dad." So I kind of resorted to some general knowledge.
Yeah.
But yeah, there have been positives. I mean, in terms of curating music, which we all have to do much more intensely now, because when you're playing, if you're touring a DJ set around a release, or even not around a release, you can tend to do a similar set, say in each 6 cities in the UK, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go off piece and vary it. But with live streaming weekly, you have to find new stuff.
Yeah, totally.
And so, I mean, my record collection, it's not vinyl, I haven't really touched the vinyl yet, but in terms of Serato is now so organized, and there's so much new stuff in it. It's like we were talking about, Jamie, you can end up locked with your Shazam to someone's stream.
Like, totally.
I was doing that last night.
Then the next day I go through it and I try and find them. Some are quite hard to find.
Yeah.
And then if you can't find it, you whisper the DJ and say, "Can you give me that?"
Yeah.
So I miss DJing. I'd love to play in the club, but there have been positives. Another positive is that my daughters have been around it more.
Right.
Because before that, they'd been to see us at Boomtown, a couple of other festivals. But they didn't really know what we did. Not really.
Yeah, totally.
And now they see it all the time.
Yeah.
They even come into the room.
Yeah, totally.
So that's been really cool. They actually know how it all works now. They know what the turntables do and the mixer and stuff. And that's been really cool, especially because they're so young. They're 8 and 5. And I'd love it if they did want to DJ.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Get them to jump on a live stream.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, well,
get them in DJing.
They do come into the room, but when I try and get them in front of the mic, they go all shy.
Yeah,
they go
totally.
all shy. But that will come, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I want to show them how to mix soon and stuff. Yeah.
We were chatting again, go back to Z-Trip. Kind of asked him a similar question about what are the positives that have come out of it for you, and he said the music thing. I think pretty much everyone has said that. From a DJing point of view, like finding new music and like it's pushed you to have to dig like way harder than you would normally. But also he was saying about like the connections that have kind of come out of this. Like straight away, like you guys is an obvious one for us. Like we were obviously like fully aware of you guys, and but we didn't have that same connection, and so that's been.
That's totally true. I mean, we're all talking all the time now, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been fairly close on and off with Yoda for quite a long time. He kind of semi-A&R'd an album.
Right.
We did.
Yeah, because he used to work in A&R, because we had him on the show as well, and he was we're talking about back in the day.
We did it with him.
Yeah, so we did an album on Antidote, didn't we? Did we end up?
Yeah. But this was supposed to be the future.
Yeah, is that actually on Antidote? I think it is, or at least.
It is.
At least Blood and Fire and a Piece of the Pie are. I think the album is. I'd have to look. Yeah.
I remember we had a meeting with everyone, and he was there, but. We've known him a long time. We've known all of those guys a long time.
Yeah.
But now we talk regularly.
Yeah.
about all sorts of things. Because kind of, it's like we talk to you, you know, we're all helping each other out, really. That's what we're doing.
Totally.
The trick here is for us to stay buoyant, isn't it? So that we're
Yeah.
still, you know, doing our thing while we can't do our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy to kind of just disappear off the face of the earth if you're not, you know, when the live stream thing came in, everyone's like, right, I better get on this. Otherwise, you know, what are you kind of posting? What are you doing, you know?
Yeah.
I've also never listened to as many DJs play as I have.
Yeah.
Totally.
I realised that I never used to really like. You'd hear someone if you're on a bill with them, and occasionally mixes, but like in terms of just watching DJs and what they do.
But you were so geographically limited before, unless you were literally at the same festival or same lineup as somebody. Like you couldn't, and okay, people might do like pre-recorded stuff, but in terms of like live shit, you know, you can tune into Jeff every week at the moment, or you know, whoever it is.
Every day.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it's quite good for your discipline as a DJ or a selector as well, because it's so revealing. You know, on a big loud sound system, something's going amiss, you get the levels a bit wrong, that doesn't matter. But with this, everyone's right next to you, aren't they? Really, they might be further away than they used to be, but they're actually a lot closer.
Yeah.
And they can see everything you do and any mistake you make, and you know, you tidy up your stuff.
Yeah, you're way more under the microscope now.
Yeah,
I think the support that everyone gives each other in the chat rooms as well is like phenomenal. The way that everyone's just banded together.
Yeah,
and you don't normally get that unless like you're at a gig with your mates or hanging backstage with other DJs and that. It's just it's such a nice thing to have happen out of all this.
No, it is. Well. It's funny when, you know, we had Kiko last night and he wasn't aware of the ins and outs of live streaming and Twitch and stuff like that. And so we gave him a really quick lesson.
Yeah.
Look, it's all about that chat room, and we make it really big on the screen.
Yeah.
And it's all about that. That's your crowd. When you ask for flames in the chat,
yeah, totally. I saw that, yeah.
Saying "say ho" to the crowd.
Yeah, everyone.
It's the same thing but online.
Yeah. And it was something, I think it was like a DJ City podcast. I caught a little snippet of it yesterday, and he was saying that like one thing that I can't remember who it was, the DJ that was on, but he was saying that the amount of messages that he's got, not just to people saying, "Oh, I'm loving your music," whatever, but saying like, you know, you've properly helped me out through lockdown, and like you know, shit like that is like you wouldn't get that, you know, you wouldn't get people coming up to you after a club set, you know, and saying that kind of stuff. But like obviously it's different because of the, you know, the global situation, but that's been another like, you know, it's a nice little positive to come out of it for the DJs.
Yeah,
totally. It's just mad to see the geographic kind of split of all the people that are checking out the streams, and suddenly you got, oh god, you're in Colombia, you're in Saudi Arabia, you're in Andorra. It's just like so weird to think all these people in their back gardens or in their kitchens and all these different places. It's really cool.
But I've really enjoyed that. You know, we're supposed to do 7 till 9 on a Friday. And often whoever's going second does carry on a bit.
Yeah.
And I did about 1:30, 2 in the morning the other week. And what I enjoyed about that is at the beginning we had our regulars in the chat room. There's probably 25 people that are pretty chatty.
Yeah.
And then some other people which are lurking but still regulars. But by 1 in the morning, I had a completely different group of people.
Oh, really?
And they were just as chatty, but they didn't have any idea who I was.
Yeah, so they're just like landing on your page from...
Well, there were more questions.
Right.
And say, oh, this is cool, you know, and it's just simply because of the time zone.
I am totally, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Really because of that. But I realised at that point that doing these long sets that actually cover a few time zones is a very good way of engaging and getting traffic.
Yeah.
That's a good point, yeah.
That is a slightly frustrating thing with it, especially with like, you know, like if you're wanting to like catch other people's live streams, you know, living in the UK, sometimes if they're on at 3 in the morning, it's not exactly particularly practical. But
then again, it's quite funny as well, because I got up at, I don't know, 7:30, 8 a.m. the other day, and Shortcut was doing a garage set.
yeah.
And for them, it was really late, you know, and you could feel it was really late.
Yeah.
But I quite enjoyed that because it was a sort of experiment to hear that music at that time.
Totally. Well, he went garage last night, did he not, for a second set?
He did.
Yeah.
He loves a bit of garage. And anyone who can scratch with that ability at that tempo you know, hats off.
Yeah, that he's so clean.
He's crazy.
He's so clean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That second set when I shouted you, Jamie, I was literally like Shazamming like every single transition and track that he was doing. I was like, I think I must have sent you about 10 songs. So good.
And Scratch Bastard just blows me away every time he fucking plays. The guy's an absolute monster.
Yeah. It's next level, isn't it? Those guys.
Well, when you can scratch that well, I mean, we've spoken to him about Stream Raiders. He doesn't really prepare it.
No, just wings it.
You know, he does 10 minutes before, but he's so impressive and also such a massive character.
Yeah, he's so like visual and like the presence.
He's amazing. Yeah. Very lucky to have him on board.
Yeah. So should we take it back for a bit, and chat about kind of a bit more Nextmen based stuff. So you both grew up in Cambridge.
Yeah.
What was the Cambridge scene growing up like?
So, as teenagers and into hip hop, we had a very, very good record shop.
Oh yeah.
Called Jay's.
Nice.
And it was as good as any of the shops in London, really.
They also ran a mail order company, Assassin Records. It was like the biggest hip hop mail order company in Europe.
What were they called?
Wow.
Assassin Records.
Oh, okay, right.
And so it was going in there and all the and because the people that ran the shop weren't really interested in hip hop, they used to leave all the promos out so you could go and get. When it was that kind of era when sort of Beatnuts records and Diamond D records were coming out and you know earlier Tribe Called Quest records, they'd have all the American promos that you could just buy, and if you were quick enough, you could nip in there on a Tuesday, I think it was, and get them all.
Yeah, nice.
And so there were lots and lots of DJs growing up, really, that were all playing hip hop. But some quite good ones, weren't there, in Cambridge, Dom?
Yeah, some really good ones. And again, though, it's all because of that shop. If that wasn't there, I don't think it would have happened at all.
It was all based around that shop and access to that music.
So there's quite a good scene. I didn't realise that.
So you guys both play instruments as well, right? Was that kind of came first before like the DJ side of things? Because Dom, you play guitar, right? And Brad, you play keys. Is that how you kind of like met like through that?
We met at sixth form. How did we meet? Oh, you tried to sell me. You tried to sell me a bag of magic mushrooms.
What was it? Were they fake ones or something?
I try. I asked Dom if he'd do some scratching on a record that I was like one of the first tunes I did, and he sort of looked down his nose at me and went, you know, no.
I don't remember it.
But it wasn't really till because you went to university in Glasgow, didn't you, Dom?
Did you?
Oh yeah, we had a chat about this on the phone. I completely
right.
forgot about this.
Yeah, I did animal biology.
And
that's right.
It wasn't until after Dom came back from uni that I think it was I got asked to do the London Posse remix, didn't I? I didn't know anyone that had equipment, and right. Dom, I knew Dom had a EMU and a Mac, and I asked him if he wanted to do it, and we did it together, and then that got played on the radio, and that's how the kind of.
So that's the two of you started then from there.
But we sort of knew about each other obviously from sixth form, and I wasn't DJing at the time, but Dom was DJing from a very young. You were 16 when you started DJing, were you, Dom?
I was 14 when I started.
Yeah.
And it was because basically what happened is I wanted to get 2 turntables, and my dad had a brilliant record collection, a lot of 70s funk.
Yeah, nice.
And so we'd listen to that all the time, and I'd go through all this wall of records he had. And then there was a guy that lived on my road in Cambridge called Nicholas, and he used to go over to New York and bring back very early hip-hop records. And he told me about what you need to do, and you need to have 2 turntables, and then you mix the stuff together. So one day, me and my dad rescued this turntable from a skip that was outside the house, pretty much. And we brought it into the house to try and wire it up so I could have 2 to work with. His one and this one we'd found in a bin. And it gave him a massive electric shock. It this huge electric shock, and so he left me to it. And then there was all sorts of wiring problems and stuff. But I managed to get it to a point where I could mix 2 records together. And then it just kind of went from there.
Amazing. Am I hearing this right? Both of your dads are in a band called The Previous Men.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So they're both musicians. You know, my dad's a guitarist, Brad's dad's a keys player, or was a keys player.
Well, there you go. That's where you picked it up from then, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they did a few gigs. I remember my dad showing me the artwork for a Previous Men gig, and he's like, it looked like a kind of old plaque on the wall of a pub, and he goes, "Look, I've made it really retro." And they were playing in a pub or something. Yeah, but they met probably only 10, 15 years ago at a party in Cambridge, didn't they?
And then became best mates.
Yeah. My dad's no longer with us, unfortunately. But it was good. It's good that they became mates, and yeah, they played a lot. Especially when my dad was sick. Dom's dad would go around to my dad's house and play with him in his back room in his little studio, and they'd play together. And that was really, a really nice thing that ended up happening out of all that stuff.
Yeah, totally.
That is nice, man.
Yeah.
So fast forward a bit, you're talking about working together. What's your kind of current setup for working on music together? Do you try and do as much stuff as you can together, or do you
it's usually, if you listen to any Nextmen record, usually one of us did the bulk of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The other is involved in a kind of finishing and finessing stage. And then there's a few, interestingly, like Blood and Fire and Piece of the Pie, which is probably the best, which we actually did completely together.
Okay. And do you find it difficult working together, or do you find you work better?
Things are much easier now, anyway, aren't they?
Like us.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the same with any duo. You just got to find the way that you're most productive.
Yeah.
If you're in the room together all the time and that isn't productive, and when you've both got kids and other commitments,
yeah,
sharing things and just adding bits and taking bits away is a really productive way of working.
Yeah, we found that as well. We kind of originally started off doing kind of everything together, and then we're like, right, well, why don't we play a bit more to like our...
For most duos, though.
Yeah, and it takes a bit of time to find that out. Took us way too long.
We're not quite at the 20 years like
totally.
You guys are. I think we're approaching 10.
Well, we're still going fairly strong, I suppose. You know, we've had lulls in our output. You know, there's been times we look back at and think we just should have been more active then. But I think the ship's pretty steady at the moment. So there's some good stuff coming. We're actually kind of quite far into doing a drum and bass record, an album.
A full album?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we've been working with some really good people. We've kind of recruited jungle and drum and bass producers to come and help, because if you're going to step into that world, you need to have...
Yeah, you want to have that level of like...
and stuff, yeah. So Harry Bryson from Polar and Bryson, I've been working with him, and Brad's been working a lot with Selector J-Man from Bristol.
Right, nice.
Right.
We're sitting on a pile of tracks, actually. Kiko's across it. Who else have we got on the vocals, Brad?
Eva Lazarus, Kiko,
nice.
Gardner, Joji,
nice.
Fat Freddy Scott.
Nice.
J-Man from Bristol, Shumba Youth, this guy, Johnny from Gentleman's Dove Club, bunch of people.
Amazing.
Yeah, sounding pretty good already.
Holly Cook.
Yeah, it's kind of good.
And have you got like a time frame for that, or is it just still...
We're trying to find it. We want to find it at home. I mean, the thing is, it's a label would be good. If we can get the right deal, a label would be good. But it's going to come out. So even if we don't find the right place for it, we'll do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. Speaking of output, that kind of brings us on to something we wanted to cover, which is kind of a bit current. I don't know if you saw the Daniel Ek from Spotify coming out. Oh,
I haven't seen.
Brad, did you see that? Where he's
Yeah. The guy that said you need to just make 800 records a year, or else you're never going to make it.
Yeah. Basically, So we came out and said, like, the artists, like, you know, you can't just release an album every 3 or 4 years anymore. You've got to be putting out shit, you know, like regularly to stay afloat. And people were like, there was a big backlash, in the music community going, well, this guy's not a musician, he's never released anything in his life.
Yeah.
And he's telling artists, you know, or implying artists were not, you know, perhaps working enough or not putting out enough music. And just wanted to get your take on what you think your thoughts are on on output with that. And
well, that's a symptom of the way things are now, isn't it? That music is so easy to get hold of. People often listen to playlists. People actually often search for playlists by the mood.
Yeah, totally.
You know? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We put Sunday chill and something comes up.
Yeah.
But really, it's just almost like the time frame has been contracted, because even before online music and streaming, it was a good idea to release at least every 18 months or 2 years, because it stopped you becoming an older act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you were releasing, I mean, Plan B, actually a good example. I co-exec produced his last album.
Mm-hmm.
And right at the beginning of the process, I remember thinking, you know, wow, it's 7 or 8 years since he's released a record.
Yeah.
And that is a long time. And that gives people enough time to forget you and say, oh, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so if you release regularly, you don't give people the chance to remember you because you're always around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think perhaps what we're experiencing with this is it's the same thing, but it's much more rapid. Because people just, I mean, there's so much. How many tracks get uploaded to?
Oh, it's something obscene, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what, 15 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's quite scary. I find that quite scary, especially as the sort of producers that we are, where it's a craft and you spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah. Totally.
Sometimes tracks get to very nearly finished and then you just completely take them apart and rebuild them.
Yeah.
You know, that's tricky. But maybe people find it easier to make music now because of Splice and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember meeting someone at a festival and they were like, "Oh, your track, whatever." They were like, "Oh, that was like my favorite track for like 2 weeks."
Yeah.
Really?
Like, it's just a perfect example of how the shelf life of some music that you release is just like
so throwaway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Composable music, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's frustrating because obviously you put so much time and effort into like obviously making it and then, you know, trying to get some kind of release plan together for it, and you might get 2 weeks out of it, maybe a month if you're lucky, you know, in terms of actually being able to shout about it, and everyone's like, okay, right, we've heard this before, like what's next, you know?
Yeah.
But then like people were kind of playing devil's advocate about the whole Spotify thing, and they were like, well, do you moan about this and, you know, like get really bummed out about it, or do you just try and adapt? It's like,
it's kind of the same as the live stream culture. You've just, you know, do you have to jump on board with it and go with the way the trend is? I'm not quite sure.
I mean, I think the Spotify model is not entirely as terrible as everyone makes it out to be. I think I'm quite conflicted because I know from our experience of self-releasing albums, in terms of generating money, which we'd all like to do, but is virtually impossible to do from releasing music alone.
Yeah.
If you self-release on Spotify and get a good thing going, you can actually, as if you're the label, you can actually make some money from streaming. Mm-hmm. It's just if you're signed to a label and you're releasing as an artist on Spotify and you're receiving an artist share, then it's virtually impossible to make any money off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as independent artists that put out our own music, that model can work for us and we can bring in some return as well as giving us control over what we release.
Yeah.
And also, there's so many different little things you can do. Like we did the dub versions of the Pound for Pound album, which gave us another whole album release. Yeah. Obviously, you can do like acoustic versions of stuff, different instrumental versions, different remixes and stuff. And you do have to put the work in, but you can, if you're clever, create
keep it going.
Shit ton of, you know, content from just one record. You know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's entirely bad. You know.
No, I think there was such a massive backlash because I think people were taking it as like a personal attack on artists, like, you know, work ethic, which I don't know if he meant that. I was surprised if he did mean that, but
yeah.
It's just when you're a bloke in a suit in an office working for a company that has kind of ripped quite a lot of people off.
Yeah.
People get a bit hacked off, you know, and fair enough. But you've got to kind of play the system, work out how it works, and work out how you can make it work for yourself. And just forget about the dude in the suit who's a bit of an arsehole.
Well, there's also that in our situations, you know, a lot of the work we put into releasing music is about getting gigs.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and at the moment, obviously, that's not happening. But certainly, one thing I should say is that I've realised how lucky we are to be pro DJs. You know, turning up to a club, playing some music you like, and getting paid for it.
Yeah.
And then going home. I mean, it's a pretty good line of work, isn't it? And now we haven't got that, and we're sort of, you know, trying to make a bit of cash out of the live streaming, which has been very difficult.
Yeah.
You know, it's made me realise just how lucky we all were as DJs that were, you know, regular.
Yeah, totally.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the live streaming, like I don't know what your thoughts are on the model of that, and whether it's gonna adapt. As obviously there's no, like, you know, there's no gigs coming back in sight on the regular at the moment. So whether people are going to try and move to a more kind of, you know, paywall based model for streaming and stuff.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, the whole thing it's such a learning curve, isn't it? I mean, I remember when we first started, I was saying to Brad, download OBS. What's that? I'll just get it. And it went from trying to, actually the first time that I tried to do it upstairs was on a phone.
Yeah.
I thought, this is just rubbish. It's not going to work. And it went from us trying to do it on a little phone, an old Samsung, to a full-on production.
A TV studio.
Within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Within 2 weeks. And I think in terms of the way people digest it, I think there's a few things that could happen, but there's every chance that it will stay secure as an alternative form of clubbing, like an adjacent.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking as well.
Clubbing, because, you know, especially if you've got a demographic like ours, plenty of the people have children, right?
Yeah.
So they might think, well, actually, I won't go out on Friday. I won't get a babysitter because some of our favorite DJs are playing all night on the internet.
Yeah.
So the trick for us then is, when do we say, well, you're going to have to pay for it?
Yeah.
You know, because we're all happy to just stand there and do it, but we don't make the living we used to.
No.
Yeah. Has anyone actually started doing that yet? I think everyone's just kind of doing it for free.
There's a lot of bands that are going down that model. I think it's easier for a band because obviously there's more people involved, and it's like, yeah, maybe people would be more willing to pay like a $5 to see a band, you know, doing a live stream. Because I know Smooth and Terrell, they did a thing a couple of weeks ago, and they obviously it was paid.
Yeah, I do like the setup I like the way Bandcamp's set up, because as soon as you upload something and publish it, then it instantly sends an email out to all the followers, you know, which is saves so much time if you're trying to kind of promote it yourself.
Yeah, it's also help with sourcing re-edits as well, because you find a producer you like, and every time they put something new up, you get notified.
Yeah. The other thing that's a little bit worrying with Bandcamp is the copyright that's coming in with it. I've noticed people like Nick Bike, for example, like gone off it. I think.
I went to buy one of his last night, and it said, "Sorry, that's not here anymore."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because I think he was doing quite well off Bandcamp, because he released like 45s and like loads of edits and stuff, and yeah, that was probably quite a big income stream for him, and it was gone.
I wonder what he's going to do instead.
He's moved to Patreon.
Yeah, he's moved all of his Patreon.
Oh, cool. Right, I'll go and check it out there. I'm after this one edit. I can't find it.
You'll probably get it on there, but you might have to subscribe to it.
Which one is it, though?
What?
Which edit?
Oh, I'd have to go and it's upstairs on the computer. I can't remember the name. It's like a housey thing. It's really, really good. I saw a DJ play it last night on the Serato stream.
I bought virtually all of them, Don. So you just
yeah. It's not My First Bicycle, is it?
No.
All right. Yeah, he's brilliant. But yeah, so it's like £10 a month for his Patreon, and you get all his or $10 a month, and you get all his edits.
Yeah. I mean, Patreon's something people keep saying to us we should do.
Well, we've set up. We're literally ready to pull the trigger on it. We've just got to record the intro video, and then we're away. But
yeah,
because I noticed like the Allergies are doing it, and who else? there's a few folk, Sticky Buds, Canadian.
So it sounds like just something you just have to do, basically, as part of this whole thing.
Well, yeah.
Kind of, maybe, yeah. It's just funny how you're watching everyone just sort of try and move the pieces around a chessboard, just trying to figure out which platform is going to do, going to benefit you for this amount of time until, gigs kind of start back and stuff. But it's definitely worth checking out.
We've got strong support on Spotify.
Right.
It's great, actually. I mean, I think we're sort of 200,000 unique monthly listeners, and then if we put a record out, that goes up to 500,000 a month.
That's good.
Brilliant.
Which is not bad. I don't know whether the numbers are particularly believable, but at least you can say it.
Yeah, totally. That was going back to Spotify. That was another thing that people were kind of pissed off about, that they've kind of pushed everyone to like look at the numbers a lot more, rather than look at the music, which is a valid. Because every bit of music has got your play count on it, which is all right if you're doing like good numbers, but quite depressing if you're doing you've got the little less than less than 1,000 or whatever it is. But hey, it is what it is. And so we mentioned. Sorry,
in a way, quickly. In a way, I think that the Spotify numbers are kind of helpful in a way to sort of check what's going on. And also, if you're working for other artists who are signed to labels as a producer or as a writer, you often can't really get much of an idea, or historically couldn't get much of an idea of how certain records are doing. And now looking on Spotify can often give you a good idea of the success of something,
Yeah, the Spotify for Artists platform is quite good, actually, getting all the stats and the numbers. But you want the plays and the follows to kind of balance it out, because you can sometimes you can see like a track's maybe got like a couple million plays off something, but then you go and look at the artist and then they've maybe got like 1,000 follows, and it's not like the followers aren't going up as much as, so it's almost like the people that are listening to it are almost passively listening to that track rather than following the artist and then actively seeking it out.
It's probably on a Starbucks playlist in America.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
It's just playing in every Starbucks.
Yeah. But I mean, that's still good, I guess. If that song's everywhere subconsciously, it's kind of leading people back to you in a way.
Especially if it's an independent artist and they're just trying to make their way in the world. If they've got a track that's got a couple of million streams on Spotify, and then they're it's good for them. It's great for them.
Yeah, man. So it's good to shout on the socials as well, I suppose.
Definitely.
Yeah. So this is one question we always like to kind of like end on. We try and ask everyone. If you could give one bit of advice to young Dom and Brad, like 18-year-old Dom and Brad. I hate to put you on the spot, but anything that springs to mind?
Probably stop chasing girls and get in the studio a bit more while you're young.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
The recurring theme that we tended to get from people was just chill out a little bit and stop worrying about shit. In terms of like music and like careers and all that kind of stuff. Like people like Charlie Tuna was like, yeah man, just like stop worrying about everything. It's all going to be all right.
Yeah.
Which I thought was you actually said a good one the last time, Jamie. I think you'd said just trying to not compare yourself as an artist to another artist.
Oh well,
I thought it was a really good one.
That's an amazing bit of advice. Compare and despair.
Yeah. 100%, man.
If you think about what someone else is doing, that it makes absolutely no difference to you.
No.
What someone else is doing, it can't do.
No.
You just get on with your own stuff.
And usually you end up comparing. Well, always you end up comparing yourself to someone that's just further down the line than you are, or further up the ladder than you are. So there's always going to be someone, no matter what level you're at, whether you're a pro or a beginner, there's always going to be someone that's done it, better, or done something else, or done something, more than you. So it's you're onto such a losing, streak.
It's not helpful.
No, it's so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy. So yeah, because we got asked we asked Z-Trip that, and he was like, "What?" You kind of put it back to us, and we're like, "What about you guys?" And yeah, I have to but it's so easy nowadays. You just open Facebook, open Instagram, there's always somebody doing something amazing or cool, or especially music. So yeah,
you just got to do something yourself that day, haven't you? If you see something, you think, I wish I'd done that. Just do it. It's about staying. The online socials thing is about being visible, and like clockwork, putting something up every day. The streams, apparently, we started doing the streams really regularly and doing 3 a week, because I read that as a bit of advice somewhere, that someone said that's what you should be doing if you want to generate a following. People are busy and they need to know exactly where you are and when. And if you do it at the same time, they find it easy to work their life around it.
Yeah, the consistency, I think, has been a key to kind of growing stuff on Twitch. Or
but just kind of lastly, just want to say thanks again to you guys for all the support, like the Sunday brunch thing, and like you guys jump, like us raiding you at the end and stuff. It's just like, it's such a good vibe, man. And then Dre coming on in the morning.
It's simply down to your selection. Like, once I started watching you, I was just thinking, these guys just play great music, and it's a really good fit, I think. I
don't want to take any credit for this, because I'm literally the one in the chat room. Jamie's doing all the work. I'm only on the chat room messaging and chatting to people. Jamie's actually doing it.
Still contributing. Are you doing Sunday, by the way?
Yeah.
This Sunday.
Yeah, so we'll do the same this Sunday then.
Cool. You back to the 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
Sweet. Cool.
Sweet.
Because we might even Nico to come and play some reggae, because he was really nervous last night, but then once it was done, he was buzzing. Nice. And I said, you want to come and play some records on the Sunday chill set, because he tends to play kind of dub reggae. He was like, yeah. So we'll get him in for Sunday too.
Nice. Amazing. Yeah, we'll read you.
And next Friday we've got Mr. Thing.
Oh, guesting. Amazing.
Oh wow.
So anything what shout about before we wrap it up that you got coming up? Obviously, so yeah. Tell people when your streams are, in case they don't know.
Our streams are 7 till 9 p.m. UK time on Twitch, and then 3 p.m. on Sunday, and then we do some kind of random pop-ups and other bits around all that. And
special guest coming up, you got Kiko this Sunday.
No, I'm not sure. He might turn up this Sunday, but he said he's got a big night on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
But he will appear on a Sunday. And also I spoke to him about the possibility of making a beat, so we could just leave the camera on and do one of our creative sessions, which I think would be fun for people.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, I've kind of been toying with the idea of just switching Ableton on and switching the computer on. Yeah.
I mean, Disclosure, they're really doing it.
I've been loving those. There's been so many little snippets of good stuff I've picked up from those. He's just getting drunk. He's like you, Dom. It's just drinking red wine and producing.
I'm just going to throw this out there, but I'd actually quite like to see you guys do a kind of brunch raiders type 15 minutes back to back.
Brunch raiders.
That could be not to shit all over Adam or anything like that, but
brunch raiders, and you will just be part of it.
Yeah.
What's that?
15 minutes is quite a short amount of time for a chill out set, though. You might want it a bit longer for the chilled thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a good idea, though.
That could be fun.
Also, an all vinyl day. I thought about talking to you guys and DJ Mark Oxford and just do a day of all vinyl between us. Because you know that something's sort of one more point about live streaming. One thing that's really important is the clarity of the theme. Because a lot of people come past the stream, and unless it says very clearly what it is,
they might just skip it.
They just move on because they don't know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
So you do it really well, because Sunday brunch, it's very obvious what it's going to be.
Yeah. That was why we chose, because I saw I can't remember who it was, some American DJ was doing it, and I was like, man, I'm stealing that. It's great. It's so easy to brand it up.
Yeah. And Mark Oxford, one of the reasons that he's getting a really a decent and warm following is because it's 80s and 90s specific vinyl only. That's really easy to digest.
Yeah.
You know exactly what they're going to get.
Totally. Right, amazing. Well, it's been a pleasure to chat to you both.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, well, we'll see you for the boat party when we finally can fucking do some gigs.
Yeah.
We were talking about the boat party world tour. We are serious about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'd love to do that. Like a big boat in 5 or 6 cities around the world would just be perfect. I don't know whether anyone would come on the boat, but
yeah,
I bet they would. I bet they would.
You could just quarantine the boat somewhere like that one in Japan, could you not?
Yeah.
God.
Right, nice one. We'll let you go, boys. Pleasure as always, and yeah, we'll see you at the weekend. Have a great stream tonight.
Yes,
Thanks,
Cheers,
bye,
boys.
bye.
Cheers.
Yeah.